so many different times in my life I've played with broken or hurt things, broken foot, broken leg, broken hand, broken arm, broken sternum, broken collarbone. I could keep going if I just thought more about bones. Why, man? Because I loved it. I loved playing the game. I was passionate about it. One of the reasons I even get encouraged at seeing all of you here, do you know why I get encouraged by that? Is because you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zillner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. The C's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. Now
Thrive.
Arthur, in your life, with your mom being an alcoholic, your father essentially disappearing from your life from age 13 to 18, you've battled severe scoliosis, the curvature of the spine, to the point where you had to be put almost like in a full metal body cast sort of thing. How have you been able to deal with the emotional wounds? How are you able to just get over it? Because I know you, people know you, they say, Arthur Greeno, happy-go-lucky, successful entrepreneur. Talk to me on a daily basis, though, bro. Seriously, how are you able to deal with that?
Well, everybody has a choice. You know, you can choose to be a victim, or you can choose to be an overcomer.
Okay.
And so it is one of those that that there's a lot of times when I sit down and yeah, it's frustrating. You know, my back. You know, when my back gives out, even now, it's frustrating that it happens. But I get to choose how am I gonna show up today. Yeah. And so, but I just choose, you know, not to be a victim.
I want to just fire off some of that I know of. Maybe you have some that come to your mind. But Oprah Winfrey was sexually abused, and to this day, she's one of the most benevolent entrepreneurs out there.
Yep.
You know, Richard Branson, some people call Richard Branson, the Virgin Phones, Virgin Airways, Virgin Records guy. He's dyslexic. Can you think of other people that you know that have dealt with emotional wounds, situations where they had something bad that you've met over the years, they've been able to overcome? Anybody that comes to your mind?
No one comes to my mind directly, but one thing I've learned as I hang out with successful people is almost every one of them have. You know, I mean, it seems like a trend that a lot of successful people have had emotional wounds, but they've overcome them, and all kinds of crazy things.
I've discovered that every entrepreneur I've ever spent time with who's had success has had issues, because every human I've ever met has issues.
That's
the only thing is
right.
They just kept on going.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Now you've spent more time with them than I have, but Jim Stovall is a guy. He's a blind, multi-millionaire speaker, author, screenwriter guy. How have you seen him? Like, how does he deal with blindness? I mean,
you know, he just works around it. I mean, it's funny because he is somebody that I look at as my mentor, and he'll constantly say, "I'll see you later." You know, and I kind of chuckle and go, no, you won't. You know, but it's just, he just works around it. And I think that's what successful entrepreneurs do.
Works around the blindness. That's amazing, though. So in your mind, what should every aspiring entrepreneur or existing entrepreneur be doing on a daily basis to deal with any emotional wounds? So as an example, let's say that you get sued, hypothetically. By the way, when you run a Chick-fil-A, you just get sued. But you have a Chick-fil-A, and
when you run any business, you're going to get sued.
yeah, if you run any business at all, you're going to get sued. So we'll go to...
It's not a Chick-fil-A thing.
Well, with my business, like we have a plumber who cut his toe off. You know, a guy's doing some plumbing work, cuts his toe off. I guess that's just what you do. How do you deal with that emotional when you're like so frustrated that you're getting sued because you've been doing things the right way?
Yeah.
How are you emotionally able to deal with that?
Well, it's one of those that you have to kind of settle down and really look at everything and know that in your heart that you're doing things right. You know, there's literally times I'll stand in the mirror and go, I didn't do anything wrong. You know, I'm building my business, I'm doing what it is, and when I'm doing what I should be doing, and I didn't do anything. And you know what? I've been doing this for 25 years, and yes, there's been accusations and other things that have come up against me. They're always false.
Yeah.
They're always ridiculous. And as an entrepreneur, you will get mad about it. You will be like, this is so stupid. I can't believe I'm getting sued over this. And then someone's going to finally see it and go, don't worry about it. It's taken care of.
I, years ago, was working with a company, and I was doing my job, and long story short, I was a consultant, and they decided, we're terminating all the contracts for all the consultants, we're shutting everything down, and as the deal worked out, one of the agreements was I was getting free office space at the time as part of our agreement. And all of a sudden, I start getting a $7,000 a month parking bill because they've no longer given me free office space. So I'm honoring my commitment, and all of a sudden, I'm getting a $7,000 a month parking bill. I know at that time, for me, like emotionally, one of the things I've learned a lot is if we take the emotion out of it and we focus on like the right motion to take, things work out, you know?
Absolutely.
And it sounds like that's what you're doing. Like you're kind of calling a timeout and saying, not going to let this steal my joy. I'm going to focus on the solution and move forward.
Yeah. In Aikido, there's something that they call ground and center, where you're really kind of focusing on what it is. And I'm not a real big, spiritual guy of that nature, but it's one of those that it's really, stopping, taking a deep breath and going, okay, what is really going on here? Because if you're going to let everything be run by emotion, you're going to end up in a lot of hot water.
See, I was getting to a point, and this is just even a few years back, I couldn't sleep because I had this big bill, and I'm thinking like, why is this a big bill? Instead of focusing my energy on getting in touch with my attorney, and then finding a new office location, I was just so wrapped up into why would they do that to me, and I couldn't get past that. And I think it's neat that you're able to do that. And I want to ask you now, in terms of your personal life, what were some of the biggest setbacks that you dealt with? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, we all have setbacks. What were some of the biggest personal setbacks that you've dealt with?
One of the big setbacks for me is I'm going to college, and actually this is something that kind of changed my whole life. So I'm in college, I struggled growing up with different things, with my mom being an alcoholic and other things. And my sister was in a car accident. And she was trying to get her GED, and she was trying to go back to school. She had 2 kids. She just turned 18, and she was down in the Dallas area, and she was in a car wreck. So we went down there, and she passed away. Well,
How old was your sister?
My sister had just turned 18.
How old were you?
I was 20. Well, I was 20.
What was her name?
Her name is Kathleen.
Okay.
Kathleen Greeno. And Kathleen, and she passed away. And I remember, us having a discussion about nobody had any money. How are we going to pay for this funeral? And so I had to get creative to make it happen. So I ended up paying for a funeral. And here I am in college, working 3 jobs.
Paying for your 18-year-old sister's funeral.
Correct. And it was pretty stressful. It was really hard. And I remember coming back, and I was stressed out. And the gentleman that owned the Chick-fil-A that I was at the time said, you need to take a break. And so I went and took a break. And while I was on this break, I went to another Chick-fil-A to do a grand opening. And it was a break because Chick-fil-A was paying for the hotel, they were paying for the food. And see, coming from my background, that was like awesome. I've never eaten 2 meals out in a row.
Yeah.
You know, this was really big. And so now they did put me in the chicken suit the entire time, which I still enjoyed. And so that's where I kind of got my career started. But when I was doing this, I saw the love that Chick-fil-A had for other people. And that's when I said, you know what? I want to own a Chick-fil-A. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be part of this company. But I didn't know how to, I was not a business major. I was an art major at the time. I mean, I was really good at making crazy things and doing a plaster Paris mold of my entire body and ripping all the chest hair out. I mean, I was all about having fun.
You built a plaster Paris mold of your entire body?
Yeah, I thought it was a prerequisite to be here.
Yeah, I did not know that. We can talk about that later.
We can do that later. We got some plaster in the car.
About that. Yeah.
So we did. We made a plaster Paris mold of my body, but it was that's just normal for me. But it's one of those. Those are the crazy things I would do. And so all of a sudden, I want to be part of Chick-fil-A. And I've never taken a business class, so that was a pivoting point for my life. That you know, I had to figure out, how am I going to do this?
Whenever you've had setbacks, it's always served as a setup.
Absolutely.
For you.
There's always something to learn in a setback to set you up for success. There's always something to learn in a setback to set you up for success.
Well, let me ask you this. How have you been able to keep bitterness from taking root? Because I can tell you that, I can remember this. Okay, I won't mention the guy's name. I won't get myself in trouble recording this. We'll call him Achilles.
Yeah.
But I remember I found out he was stealing money. That's the first time I ever had this happen. So I said, hey, there's money disappearing. Do you know where it's going? I'm seeing each week, you know, the customers are being charged X amount, only X amount's going in. Is there cash that's been disappearing? We didn't have a lot of cash, but we had cash that was going in. I don't know. I have no idea. Then I get a bill on my credit card for a massive amount of gas. Massive, like $500 of gas. And this is like when gas was like $1.50 a gallon. Yeah. And I'm like, did we buy an oil tanker? Did we buy a tank? You know? So I'm asking the guys, you know, where's this money going? Well, finally, I'm like, do you fill up your boat with gas with my credit card? And he was like, yeah, it was just a situation where and I started realizing that this was, and that bitterness began to take root. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, ugh. And I start to pull back from all the employees. Like, anybody wants to talk to me, I'm like, everyone around me is a liar, you know? And I start to feel that. And then right at the point where I needed some sort of angelic validation that people were good, another person was stealing. It was a friend of this guy. And then I'm like, oh man, and I start to get, you know, bitter. And now today I handle it a certain way, but I want to know, how do you handle whenever you have, you know, an employee that's doing something crazy to you, or you deal with theft or a lawsuit? How do you keep from getting bitter? How do you keep from being bitter? How do you keep from being bitter?
Well, I would love to say that that's never happened to me before, but anyone that's had a business has probably had that happen to them before. And when I was a younger entrepreneur, I would get really frustrated and I would take it home with me, but I learned that was not serving me. And so one of the things I try to do is I really try to put everything in a perspective on what's going on. They weren't doing this to me. They were doing this because they had to take care of something. I had like, for example, money, like in your situation. Well, I mean, he might have just been an evil person. But to some degree, a lot of times they're doing it because it's a necessity.
We've done our research. We believe he was Al-Qaeda.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, so we get to choose on how we're going to react to that. And for me, it's important to, for one, surround yourself with the people that, you know, when I go to my friends and I sit down with my other entrepreneur friends and I go, you're not going to believe what happened to me. And then they all throw out their stories. And after, when it's all said and done, we kind of leave it on the table after we get done laughing about it.
Don't we as entrepreneurs kind of want to one-up each other on bad stories?
Absolutely.
Like, don't we want to
Absolutely.
Like, oh no, you haven't had it bad. This is what I'm dealing with. I mean, it's...
But, you know, something happened with me at Chick-fil-A just recently. And I called a guy that was a mentor of mine. And I said, has this ever happened to you? And he goes, oh yeah, it happens to me all the time. And I thought I took it personal from this employee.
Yeah.
They had written a letter about me and my management and just went off on us. It was unfounded, but it was one of those that I was getting frustrated about it. And he says, oh yeah, I get one of those about every 2 years. And this is a guy that's been with Chick-fil-A for 35 years. And so it really made me realize, you know what, every one of us is going to have that.
But I want to know here for you is how have you been able to control those emotions so you don't become an angry person? Because I know a lot of people that have had bad things happen to them who are now angry people.
So for me, I mean, one of the things is, I don't know if we're supposed to go here or not, but one of the things for me is, it's one of those that I have my quiet time, and as a Christian, I have my quiet time, you know, with God, but I think that it's important for everyone to be able to have that quiet time and the time to reflect and really realize what they're doing.
So you do take quiet time to think about this and really kind of go, kind of process those emotions, think about it, pray. So you're kind of like, okay, this is something I can't really handle during the day, so I'm going to take quiet time before work.
Absolutely. Now, and it's not something like, it's not the quiet time that you'll sit there and fester. You know, all of us have those friends that you're going to call and they want to have a pity party, and you're going to get into it with them, and then you're going to walk away all more frustrated than what's going on. This is more of a, you know what, that's not how my mentality needs to be.
No, I don't want to get you in trouble with Chick-fil-A or anything you can't say, but I just want to know, how many lawsuits have you been in your lifetime?
In my lifetime?
Or where someone sued you?
4.
4? How many times have you had to fire somebody?
Today? How many times? Really?
Yeah.
Over my history with Chick-fil-A, I don't know, a few hundred.
Now, how many times? So a few hundred times you've had to fire.
Yeah.
You've been sued 4 times. How many times has someone stolen something from you at Chick-fil-A, whether it be a customer or an employee?
A few hundred times.
Okay, and you're not bitter?
No.
I'm hammering that home because I know people who had their house broken into 4 years ago who are still like, I just can't trust people. And it's not that I don't care, but I'm going, hey, we have too, all the time. I remember when I had no money and I had a DJ, I had 1 trailer filled with equipment. I only had like 2 trailers worth of equipment, and somebody took the whole trailer. But guess what? Somebody else has had it worse. The other day I was feeling bad about myself, and I saw a dude on ESPN who he works on NASCAR, and he somehow is able to operate the computer using just like his toes because he was born without arms. Did you see that special? Mm-mm. It's craziness. And I'm going, well, I guess I don't have anything to complain about. So I think it's all perspective.
Absolutely. It is about perspective.
So if I'm an entrepreneur out there and I find myself getting sued, is that normal?
That is absolutely normal. One of the things I want to touch on is that when it comes to those bad experiences, what it's helped me do is put those systems in place so those things aren't set up to happen again. For example, if I had one person one time, they stole a check from me. A catering check that came in, they stole it. Well, you know what? Stupid me. I don't put my I don't store my checks on the wall anymore where the employees have access to it.
Yeah.
You know, so I learned from it and I've adjusted. And so I think that's one of the things I kind of look at and go, well, where was my fault in this?
I've heard it say that entrepreneurs have an expensive education because we learn about lawsuits by getting sued. We learn about employee manuals by not having them. We learn.
Absolutely.
But now the other thing is as an entrepreneur, with all those daily issues that you deal with, do you ever feel like you're getting nowhere?
Me personally?
In your quiet time when you're starting Chick-fil-A and just old school, there's a place called Promenade Mall. Not Promenade, it was Eastland Mall.
Eastland Mall?
Eastland Mall.
Oh.
No longer around.
Okay, when I was at Eastland Mall, I felt like I was getting nowhere. I mean, there was times when I was with Chick-fil-A, I was opening up the yellow pages or the newspaper going, I need a new job. This is horrible.
Eastland Mall, for the record, it felt kind of like, it felt like a mall at midnight, like a normal mall at midnight in terms of just vast and empty.
Yeah,
They had
pretty
those
much.
tops, like the big tops, like a circus sort of top there.
Yep.
And you had a Chick-fil-A there in the food court of an empty mall.
We did. Yeah, you know the mall's going downhill when when a library opens up inside the mall. You know that's not an active mall.
Yes, that's so good. So you might have felt like you're going nowhere, but how did you take those feelings of doubt and begin to turn them into feelings of inspiration? You know what I'm saying? When you're going, because I know you do that.
Yeah. Well, for one is you need to know where you're going. You know, what is your intention? If I was planning on being at Eastland Mall for the rest of my life, I would certainly not be motivated. But that's not where I wanted to be.
I don't know why you don't like Eastland Mall.
Well, I like the quiet, but it wasn't serving my pocketbook.
Yeah, it's a great. One of my moves at Eastland Mall was as a kid. We used to go there because it was basically getting great deals because the mall's going out of business. Like every store is going out of business.
That's right.
So we'd go to Eastland, and I know that they have the fountain where you could throw quarters in it. And not
Yep.
kidding, I would take all the quarters out of there.
You are the one.
Yeah, and I took other people's wishes away from them. So that's what I did. Now, final question I have here for you. I know that personally for a long time it was very hard for me to emotionally deal with just anger, with even saying negative things when bad things would happen. Do you have a rule or a phrase in your mind that every time something bad happens, do you have a little thing you say or a little way you deal with it? I mean, when it instantly happens, okay? So imagine we're right now dealing with the theft. It's right now happening. Something is being stolen. I've taken it away. What do you say? How do you?
Well, the very first thing that would pop into my head is what role did I have in that? Okay, did I? And then as soon as I realize, I'm like, well, that'll never happen again. You know, and it's not super motivating, but I'm looking at it as a tool of how can I be better, and I think that if you have the mentality of how can I be better rather than, oh, woe was me, this happened to me, you're already stepping in the right direction.
There's a guy, and I want to share the story because it really impacted my life. Did you ever meet Nate Waters? Nate was a guy who's a quadriplegic. He was basically a victim of domestic abuse. His mother's boyfriend broke his spine. If you get a chance to Google Nate Waters, fascinating story. But Nate basically had his spine broken when he was 17 or 18, and he ended up moving into a nursing home, and he stayed there for the remainder of his life. And I met him at a restaurant, and my daughter, who's like 5 at the time, didn't have a filter, and she asked, well, how come you can't move your legs? And I'll never forget, you know, he was explaining to my daughter, well, you know, I had my spine broken and this is what happened, but, you know, I know God has a plan for my life, and you can either get bitter or you can get better. And I just remember that phrase for me, remember you get bitter or you get better, and it sounds like that relates to what you do. Like you're either
Absolutely.
like, I'm going to get upset or I can improve my system.
Absolutely.
In your book, Dysfunctional Inspiration, I just want to tell you, that book has encouraged me to take that dysfunction and turn it into inspiration. And I would encourage anybody watching this, if you get a chance to check out that book. It's absolutely powerful. I know you're going to enjoy it. But thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop. Whoa. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, you know, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. You know, over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com. Simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup, but I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done this show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hours. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
Well, I have to, first of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I said, no. And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed to the business owner to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there, too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much. And thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.